Welcome to There Is a Method to the Madness. My name is Rob Maxwell, and I'm an exercise physiologist and personal trainer. I am the owner of Maxwell's fitness programs, and I've been in business since 1994. The purpose of this podcast is to get to the real deal of what really works, and most importantly, why things work. Hence the name, There Is a Method to the Madness. Before I get to today's show, I want to thank Jonathan and Lynn Gildon of the Gildon Group at Realty Pros. They are committed to providing the highest level of customer service in home sales. Why don't you give them a shout and figure out what your home is worth? 386-451-2412. Rob here, and I have a very special interview to do today, as I have been telling folks and putting in the email. Mr. Jonathan Gildon of the Gildon Group at Realty Pros. You probably have heard that, I don't know, thousands of times in this podcast, because he is our very first sponsor we had for the podcast. And he has sponsored many of our activities, including the MaxFit games coming up. So a very charitable guy, and I mean it when I say it, the best in the business of real estate. So let me introduce to you Jonathan, and he's going to talk first a little bit about what he does and what got him into the real estate business.
Okay. So I graduated Florida State 2005 with a finance degree and a real estate degree. And my first job was a personal banker, where I met my beautiful wife, and transitioned into being a financial advisor from 2007 to 2009, which was basically the crash of the market. So got to watch that all unravel. Very interesting learning experience. I then went into business with some friends. We had started a furniture business together. And I was a small minority owner in the business, and I learned a tremendous amount when I sold my portion of the business to them after 4 years. Had a decision to make on what to do. My mom, she is still a realtor, but had been a realtor since 2001, I believe. And my brother is also a realtor, so they were doing really well.
Was he a realtor before you?
Yes, both of them. My mom first, then my brother, and then myself. My brother had actually went through a career change also about the same time that I did, but instead of doing, when I went in the furniture business, he went to be a realtor. So he had been a realtor for about 4 years. So they were always encouraging me to come over and give it a try, but I honestly thought that there were other things that I could do that were more pertaining to my education. But once I looked into it a little bit further and realized how much freedom and flexibility there is, and then also how much I'd learned from running my own business, or really being part of a business that I had to run almost completely on my own, it was a wonderful transition. So I would say it was, I think God opened some doors to put me in that place, and by far the best decision I ever made.
I didn't realize you'd met Lynn at your bank you were working at. I had no idea. So you learn something new every time you interview somebody. Well, that's definitely a perk to working there, huh?
That made the training class a lot cooler.
Yeah, I'm sure. And now she joined you, obviously, in the business.
Yes. So, yeah.
Realty Pros.
Yes.
Part of your great team.
Yes. So her and I, and then we have really 11 other people on the team. So.
Yeah, I see your team photos on Instagram. You guys are really good about advertising. That's really good. Who does your social media? Is that you and Lynn, or do you have somebody that does that for you?
It's combination. We have a lady that works with us, Carmen. She's our assistant, but she wears a lot of hats, and that's one of them. We put together a lot of our templates and stuff before the year starts, and just kind of plug and play from there.
Yeah, so. I mean, it looks good. I mean, that's...
Thank you.
I think it's important to have a good picture. You know, you guys always put up good pictures on your Instagram.
Thank you.
So, yeah, you know, I was thinking I got my questions I want to ask you, but as you were talking about when you got into real estate there, you know, you're a good person to ask about this because a lot of people are talking about the market and the house market and the, you know, the expenses and, you know, all that good stuff. So where do you see the real estate market going in the next, say, 5 years?
Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
Hit you with that.
That wasn't one of the listed questions.
No.
Boy, that's a hard one.
Yeah.
I would hope in 5 years that we've come through what we're going through now. The issue that I see is affordability with insurance, taxes, and high interest rates.
Right.
And the spike in prices, and really looking at how much income people are making in our area to afford that median home price. So I think all of those just kind of caught up at one time. And then there's a little bit of a digestion period, which I think we're going through now. And if we've reached the top of where rates are going to be, and if they come down, I think we're going to see a really big rebound. There's a lot of people that are still wanting to move. And we're
Here
seeing,
or out?
Oh, I think here. I think there's people that want to move up into their newer home. You know, maybe they've outgrown their home or they want to downsize. I think there's a lot of pent-up demand. People just waiting for things to subside a little bit and see which way the rates go. But every time we see a little dip in rates, we see a lot of demand. So I think there's still a lot of people who, outside of just people that are here that want to live in Florida, we've always had that, where people are coming from up north that want to retire. So I think there's a really strong demand for Florida. And my kids play travel sports, so we travel all over, and just to see the growth all over Florida, it doesn't seem like there's a diminishing appetite for Florida real estate anytime soon.
Yeah, and I think like you nailed it. Like there's homes out there, but they're expensive. So, and for what the median income is for Daytona Beach, Volusia County,
right?
I think that's probably where the problem is. The supply is there, but not in like it was. There was before there seemed like there was lower priced homes, medium priced homes, and now it's like everything. You go down the new Smyrna, it's like, holy cow.
I know. Who would have ever thought?
No, I would not have thought that. I had a sister in Wyoming, and she was doing some research on Zillow about some of the homes around here, and she was shocked because it's so different in Wyoming.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's just the home prices.
It's interesting. If you travel, you go out of town or something, pull up Zillow just and see what house prices are around you, wherever you are. It's really interesting. Florida's still very affordable, it appears.
Right.
Across the nation. Obviously, there's other places that are not as expensive, but I would say desirability for location, as far as outdoor activities, the ocean, you really can't beat Florida.
See why he's good at what he does? See him selling that?
Well, it's not hard because I truly believe it.
I know.
Yeah.
So we'll get away from those hardball questions.
Yeah. Thank you.
Hit a couple of softer ones here. So what got you into physical fitness? Like, you're a fit guy, you're cut, you're strong. What got you into that?
It's funny. I remember there was a guy named Gilad, and my mom would work out to Gilad in the morning, and it was 6 a.m, or, whenever before the sun came up, my mom was in there doing her exercises. And I remember her still kind of in the midst of her exercise, coming in my bedroom, turning on my light, and almost in my face, like just punching the air, kind of joking.
He was the Hawaiian guy, right?
He was the Hawaiian guy, yeah.
I remember that guy.
Yeah, Hilton Head was in the back.
Yes.
She loved him, but she was always very active. So there were weights around the house, and I would see her exercising. So I think she set that example at an early age. And I was always a smaller kid through school, and playing sports and stuff, being small was a disadvantage. So I think as I got a little older, I was trying to get any advantage that I could. So I would see what she was doing. I'd pick up the weights and, do some curls and that kind of stuff. But I think about 16, we started going to the gym.
What gym? Do you remember?
Bodies.
Okay.
By Tasso on Granada.
Yep.
I had one of my close friends who was working out there, and he was wanting to do physical training. We were 16.
Right.
And we would go in there and do, chests and tries and buys, and it was all upper body. And
right.
But
you were there.
Yeah, we were there, and that feeling, the pump and the muscle was definitely what hooked me at the beginning, right? To be able to, like, as a kid, like, look in the mirror and see your muscles.
It feels good. I mean, it's an endorphin high.
No question. And I'd say that stuck with me. And, when you look good, you feel good. So I think I really liked that. And then in college, I really stuck with it. There was a really good workout center at Florida State, the Leach, which was a giant workout facility. It had an indoor track, an Olympic swimming pool, 2 stories. I mean, it was just amazing. And I would go there. I would set up my classes so that I could go in between classes and go exercise. I had an hour and a half in between classes, so I'd walk to the gym. I'd have my stuff in my backpack. And yeah, all 4 years that I was at Florida State, I would go and work out. And yeah, like I said, I loved the way it made me feel. And I think, I surfed a lot as a kid. So that really, truly helped build my the muscles that I do have.
Right.
I think that helped establish that baseline. And not having the ocean close when I was at Florida State, there was really nothing else physical that I enjoyed doing as much as exercising. So, I had a lot of energy that I wanted to get out, and having the workout facility there was kind of my outlet. And it's funny, I've never really thought about it like that, but that really established, I think, my my love, habit, or really just like desire and love for exercise. You know, and here I am, 43, and it's a huge part of my life.
Yeah, it's still a priority.
No question.
So even though you had your classes, it sounds like you were already thinking of how to make it a priority by looking at your schedule, which is a priority. I talk about that all the time. People say they don't have time. Mm-hmm. It's not true. They don't have the priority.
That's right. You don't want it bad enough.
Right. They don't want it bad enough. So and I was thinking of something else. So we have that in common. So both of our mothers were physically active in our house, and we watched them, because I was the same way. My mom wasn't watching wasn't watching him, but she was doing her own thing, different types of shows that she'd watch and exercise. And I can remember having the little plastic weights around the house.
Yeah. The ones with the concrete in it.
Yeah. Yeah, she had them laying in the living room. Yeah. So yeah, it's like you see that, and I always tell parents that it's like, well, they're just watching you. That's the best way to motivate them. And you're proof. You watched your mom, and then here you are all these years later. Mm-hmm. You're still a young man, but still these years later. So let's transition that into how it applies to your job now. Being fit, being healthy. Does that help you in the real estate business, do you think?
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Hey, quick question for you. Are you someone who wants to be fit, healthy, and happy? And what if I told you could get your dream body by simply just listening to a podcast? I'm Josh.
And I'm KG, and we are the hosts of the Fit, Healthy, and Happy podcast.
Listen, we get it. Fitness isn't easy. Carbs, no carbs.
Just stop, okay? It doesn't have to be that complicated. And that's why we made this podcast. We get straight to the facts so you can become your best you.
So the way to check us out is click the link in the show notes or search Fit, Healthy, and Happy podcast on any of the major podcast platforms. We'll see you soon.
I feel like you led me into that one.
Maybe.
There's no question, man. Of course. Right. I mean, I was having a conversation with a good friend of mine yesterday, and I was telling him, he was saying, I just haven't worked out in a couple of months. It's like once it gets away from you, it's hard to get back. And I'm going to get back, I know, but it's just been a little while. And the truth of the matter is that I really don't even mentally feel good if I don't work out. If I go a week without working out, I really mentally don't feel good.
Right.
And I mean, yeah, if I didn't work out, if I don't work out, I'd be a nutcase mentally.
Right.
I really,
I mean, poor Len.
yeah. Oh, could you imagine?
No.
I mean, based on how I am today, imagine
No.
if it was worse.
No.
So, well, to answer your question, number one, the routine of working out, doing something hard, the personal accountability, the mental sharpness, which you can probably back up with some type of scientific information.
Sure. Yep.
I don't know that science, but it's there, no question. In my life, I experience it. And waking up and starting my day with exercise is 100% helping me be the best version of myself. So whether it's in real estate or whatever it is, I also think there's a component, and I talk to my team members about this and just friends and general conversation, but there's a sense of pride that comes from doing something difficult.
Right.
And I think that as far as self-improvement goes and finding the best version of yourself, if you can replace one thing that you do, we all do things that we don't like about ourselves. And if you take something that you don't like that makes you upset or disappointed with yourself and replace it by doing something that makes you proud of yourself, I think that snowball grows and, eventually leads to a place where you're feeling very happy with who you are. And by being that type of person, I think you can be a better service to the world and be a better person at your job.
Absolutely. So you said a couple things that, trigger responses on that. So one thing I've heard is that, people talk about trying to improve their self-esteem, trying to improve their self-worth. And I heard somebody say once, and I 100% agree with it, that to build your self-esteem, you have to do esteemable things. Mm-hmm. So like people say, well, I want to feel better about myself. So, okay. So what are you doing to do that? It's almost like a lot of people today, they're just so entitled, and people my age, your age, not necessarily kids, adults are so entitled. They're like, well, I should feel better just because I should feel better. But it's like, no, to have self-esteem, you have to do esteemable things, right?
Sure.
So like you said, if you do a hard thing, whatever that might be, it might be completing your set. It might be going for a hard run. It could be, in your case, in people that surf, it looks like it's rough. It looks like it's pretty big, but you're able to paddle out and make it out when you couldn't before. That's hard. So you're going to get out there and you're going to go, oh, I feel good about myself because you did an esteemable thing. Mm. Too many times people today are like, well, I want my self-esteem to be better. It's like, okay, So what are you doing to do that?
Sure.
Like, you're not going to feel better about yourself just because somebody told you you're doing better. You can read through that most of the time.
Sure.
I tell clients that all the time. I'm like, okay, well, you've got to do esteemable things. And you're right. Hard things. Exercise is supposed to be hard, not overwhelming, but it's supposed to be hard. Mm-hmm. No matter what, it sounds like your routine is some way kind of loose, which is okay, meaning as long as you exercise every day, you feel good. Could be a run, could be strength, could be surfing. Or are you really structured in what you do every morning?
Yeah. Really, exercise for me is so that I can do the things that I love.
Right.
And I love to surf and I love to fish. And the type of fishing that we do is very physical when we're doing the fishing that I like to do the most, which is sight fishing. So you're physically pushing the boat. So it requires a lot of physical activity. And if you're out of shape, it's going to show you real quick. So the two things that I love the most require a lot of, physical activity. So truly, unless I'm doing those two things and I'm finding something to do, I'd say I'm structured in a way of, I know what I'm going to do. Right now we're doing 2 days a week of weights.
Full body or?
Yeah, full body. And then we've just purchased a steam sauna,
Mm-hmm.
which is phenomenal. Could not recommend that more. Obviously, there's better saunas that are infrared, that kind of stuff. But steam sauna to the cold plunge has been a revolutionary thing for me within the last year.
And cold plunges are hard, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, come on over.
No.
Give it a try.
Cold showers are hard enough.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard.
Yeah, but I think, 30 minutes of weights, right? So if I'm not at the gym, I'm at the house. I'm still running. I absolutely love to run.
Yep.
I'm injury prone. It just follows me. So right now I haven't ran in a week and a half because I pulled my calf again, which is just something that is a recurring thing.
But easily
me.
we can fix, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's hard to sustain the running. But yeah, I'll do, 30 minutes of some type of physical activity. After that, I'll jump in the sauna. Once I get a sweat going, get in the sauna, 15, 20 minutes. I'm doing 15 minutes of yoga after. I'm super loose and hot, and then I jump in the cold plunge. That's been my routine for the last probably 6 months. But it's not super, super rigid where I've been doing the same thing for 20 years.
Right.
It's just always something
Yeah.
in order to keep myself fit so that I can do the things that I love.
And I think that's the key. I mean, I agree with that. That's what I meant by kind of a loose structure where you're going to lift weights or strength train. You don't necessarily know maybe exactly what you're going to do because maybe you're going to change your mind and decide you're going to do something different for chest or whatever,
Right.
which is fine.
Sure.
I mean, that's kind of a loose planning. I think that's really, really good. The second thing you said about the science, I do want to back you up on that. Science shows that you actually do create more brain cells when you are working out. There's more oxygen to the brain. So when you're talking about feeling better physiologically after a workout, the science supports that it is absolutely good for the brain and makes you absolutely sharp. So there you go. You were right. That's a beautiful thing. So what else did you want to talk about regarding your physical fitness routine and your work?
I mean, I think you kind of nailed it.
Yeah, and I think that, when I was in college at UCF working on my master's degree, that was in the early 90s, and wellness was going to be the next big thing. I think I've told you that before.
Yeah.
One-on-one. Wellness was going to be it. And wellness was corporate wellness, where people were being prepared to go work for the big companies around here, like IBM, Disney World, some of them. Out west, it was Coors, the brewery, and Budweiser and all them. And it was the next big thing. Like we were told in the exercise science departments, it's like, well, be prepared because you're going to not only have to know your physical stuff, you're also going to have to understand business. So we took business courses too because we had to understand how corporate wellness was going to work. And then it just went kapooey. It's sad, but it never really, like Ellen, she ran the wellness department in Halifax. And as much as I love some of the employees over there, it wasn't their fault, but the money just wasn't there to put into corporate wellness. I mean, businesses often don't want to try to prevent things from happening, although I know from the science that it's a better way to do it, prevent things from happening. I mean, they've shown less people calling sick. They've shown lower blood pressures. I mean, they've shown if you can keep your employees healthy, it's going to, especially now that a lot of places are paying for insurance, it's going to lower deductibles. But a lot of companies, unfortunately, are short-sighted, so they're just not willing to invest in it, which is kind of a sad thing. But
I would think that productivity would be a huge increase with wellness. And not to mention now, we've had discussions about this, but the mental side of things,
absolutely,
the mental wellness that's happening right now.
Yeah, and mental health is really in trouble right now, and yet, it would absolutely help. But to try to convince these companies that are, always seeming to be transitioning into something else, it just seems like wellness gets pinched out of the budget. Ellen got pinched out of Halifax, unfortunately, because of that. So
interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the way it is. But the good thing is with you having the freedom and control over your organization, to a large extent, you can be the influence. I mean, I've seen the pictures. Everybody looks pretty fit. I mean, it's not like I'm looking at it going, oh man, what an unfit team, right? It's not that. I've never even noticed anybody not being. So somehow, some way, or maybe it's the industry itself, maybe real estate.
No, I don't know. I don't think so.
I don't know.
It's all shapes and sizes, I think. Yeah.
I mean, I guess
you're just a little extra judgmental,
Yeah, I might be, but in a complimentary.
I'm just kidding.
But I see like a lot of them that I know, it seems like, no, they're pretty fit, But you gotta be, right? I mean, isn't there there's an appearance side to it, isn't there, to an extent with real estate?
I mean, I don't know. Possibly, right? Well, there is a side of it, I would say. You can go online and look at some social media stuff and see that there's definitely some, attractive people doing attractive videos with a home to sell behind it. So,
yes, absolutely. Yeah,
but that's not everybody, I would say. But, there is an element of that.
Well, I'm glad to hear that you guys keep it on the ethical up and up. I like that.
Of course. It's all about the house. You know what I mean?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. Well,
go
ahead.
Yeah, as we transition here, getting near the end, I heard you had a few questions for me.
Well, it lends itself really well for the wellness conversation. And just as a side note, I had experienced my first bit of the mental health side with some anxiety and having issues sleeping and even led into some depression stuff, which was really a shock and hard to deal with.
I've been there.
And boy, I would say exercise and eliminating alcohol from my life really helped me get past it, normalize it, feel better in a short amount of time.
Yes.
And I just know from having gotten to know you, from exercising with you, and by the way, thank you. My knee feels fantastic.
Of course.
Yes, it was a wonderful experience. But I know that in your life, your diet and your lack of, or really just saying you don't drink and you you're totally plant-based. Is that correct?
Yes, mostly. I mean, some fish here and there, but yes.
Okay.
So no chicken, no beef. Yeah.
What would you say you've seen are the biggest benefits of that particular lifestyle?
Yeah. So abstinence first. So for me, alcohol was something that I did way too much of in my 20s. Did enough to cover my life. So it's like, I don't think I need to do that anymore. So I quit. I was probably 27. So that's a lot of years ago. I don't think there is any, I don't want to offend the person that has a beer here or there, wine, whatever. But I don't think there's much good to alcohol. We know it's a toxin. We know what it is in the physical world. It is a toxin. A lot of the things we ingest are, by the way, I just took a huge sip of coffee right here. And then I learned from one of my classes that caffeine is actually the part of the plant that fends off predators. Did you know that?
I had no idea.
Me neither. It's I learned that from, who was it? This guy, Polian does all those plant books. But anyway, because he believes in getting off everything, including caffeine. But anyway, so caffeine is like a toxin in plants, that that is used to fend off predators. So he gives that as an example, an analogy that these things we ingest are very toxic if taken into mass quantities. So if that's the case, if alcohol is a complete toxin to the system, a depressant, as you said, you went through some depression. So if alcohol is a depressant, then it really can't be good for the body. So once I quit in my 20s, it was there's no need to go back. It wasn't good for me mentally, emotionally, spiritually. So, and then thank goodness, because I've just seen it really wreak havoc on people's lives through the years, and not even people, I mean, absolutely with people who have alcoholism issues, but even for the heavy drinkers who maybe don't have a problem with alcohol, like they don't depend on it, but they might psychologically depend on it because they need it for socialization or whatever. The health struggles I've seen with people and just the empty calories alone, you know, I mean, somebody has a glass of wine that's a couple hundred calories. And it's funny. They always say, oh yeah, I just had a little glass. It's usually bigger than they think. I mean, they're consuming so many extra calories they don't need. You're in good shape. You know, I'm in good shape. Like that wouldn't be necessarily an issue unless, you know, we overdid it per se. But a lot of people who are trying to lose weight while they're drinking, I think it's almost impossible. I really do. I think they're trying to lose weight, and a lot of women or smaller bodied individuals, say around 150 pounds or whatever, they're going to have to be around 1,000 to 1,100 calories a day to lose weight. Now, how are you going to do that and drink and have all the nutrients you need? It's almost impossible.
Including your burn?
Yeah. I mean, then they'd have to burn so much, right?
Okay.
So it would be like, you know, the more they exercise, the better, of course, but then they would have to really do so much. For example, Lynn, your wife, doesn't weigh a lot, right? So let's say she goes for a 30-minute run. That's a lot of activity. But at her body weight, that's probably 240 calories.
Okay.
She goes and stops at Dunkin' Donut on the way home and gets a bagel. She just put it back. Like, that's how hard it is. That's why I wrote that, you know, you can't outrun a poor diet, because it's so hard to, you know, to do that. And then let's say she drinks maybe 2 glasses of wine a night, which isn't a lot. A lot of people do that.
Sure.
Right? And she doesn't need to lose weight. I have to state that again. But let's say if she did, well, now she had that bagel because she's hungry. She probably had creamer in her coffee, whatever. Maybe even got a latte. Don't even get me going on that. That's like 400 wasted calories. It's almost impossible for them to lose weight. So I see so many people pay good money for a personal trainer like myself, you know, come and pay the money and sabotage it. You know, I tell them, I'm like, yeah, you're getting more fit. You're getting stronger. You're improving your cardio. You're able to do a 5K now. But you want to be leaner. How are you going to get leaner with that drinking habit? You know?
Yeah.
So it's just almost like impossible. And then it doesn't help people recover. So it's just the toxins. So that's the first part. So for me, abstinence has been a blessing for sure. Food wise, like I eat a lot, but I eat a lot of good foods. And kind of like you're saying, you can't go, you'd hate to go a week without exercise. I mean, I feel that same way. But I also feel like crap when I eat bad. And I will, you know what I mean? We're at a baseball game a couple days ago in Miami. And, you know, best choice there was one of those little small pizza things, you know? It's like, all right. But like, it wasn't even a very good pizza, you know what I mean? So like the next day I was like, ugh, you know, you feel like it's just all that crap. Like I just don't feel good when I don't eat as good as I can. So, you know, I mean, I've always kept a good weight, you know, being as an adult. So to answer your question about plant-based, being majority plant-based, like I said, there's some fish in there and, you know, some dairy. So that's, you know, I would say it's more vegetarian than vegan.
Right.
Yeah. But my lab work, since going that direction, like I've always eaten pretty good and clean. You know, but I did go through the bodybuilding days of chicken and broccoli and rice, back, you know, way back. So I definitely ate a lot of chicken in the past. But for the last 10 years or so, being vegetarian, or maybe longer, 12 years, my lab work is so good. Like it's better now at almost 60 than it was when I was 40. And I'll see the doc and he's like, God, your cholesterol's like lower than it was 20 years ago. Your blood pressure's, you know, 110/68, you know, and it's like, and to me, to hear that, of course, you know, we all want to hear we're healthy. So when you go and the doctor goes, well, what's been the change? Because you've always been fit in the exercise. Either they knew me or they, you know, we talked about it. I said, plant-based eating. I mean, it just was the difference. I don't know if it's improved like physical stuff, you know, I get enough protein and all that, but I know on the labs, it has helped me tremendously with that. And, you know, it is cheaper, you know?
Right.
I mean, that's a plus, too. It's like, you know, it is cheaper. So, you know, there is that. But you do have to be creative. Like, you can't, if you're vegetarian or plant-based, you just can't eat pretzels all day and think that's going to cut it, you know, because I mean, you're not getting much nutrition. So you do have to make sure it's quality rice or quinoa, beans, legumes, potatoes, vegetables and fruits. I mean, that's pretty much what I eat all day. And I eat a lot. Yeah, I do eat a lot, but I eat frequently. And so anyway, I hope that answered that for you.
Yeah, no, that's a really good answer.
Yeah, and I'm glad, it's funny you asked that because, as I was interviewing you, it's like, you're a good guest because it really sparks some conversations that people, I believe, want to hear. They want to hear different takes, and I think you offered quite a bit for people out there, I'm sure they would have preferred that you would have had an absolute answer to the real estate market,
I don't think the crystal ball is foggier and foggier by the day.
But you see, that's why, you're our sponsor, because I always tell people I'm not going to have somebody sponsor that I don't believe in what they're doing. It's like, you're an honest agent. Like, you could have said, I don't know. Yeah. I don't know what people
We hear
want to
a lot of stuff. Yeah, you hear a lot of people that portray information as fact, and good for them. And maybe they're fully convinced. And there's some people that have a phenomenal track record of predicting outcomes.
How do you predict it? I mean,
it's really tough.
It's like you said, it's a crystal ball.
There's a lot of factors that factor in, but yeah, no, I was happy to be here. Happy to have the opportunity. It's been a long time coming. It's a pleasure as always to spend some time with you and talk to you. And I'm really looking forward to MaxFit Games. I think you do a great thing there. And
August 9th.
That's been a big part of your life, and that's awesome. And the kids love it. Everybody has a great time. It's a phenomenal time to be there, so I'm looking forward to that.
And Jonathan gave us a good plug for that for everybody because it's going to be different this year. The one, negative I saw, and I think everybody saw, and if they didn't see it, they're just lying to me, was how long it took to score. And it's like, oh, God, we ran into so many errors, trying to make it fair, of course, but we figured out a way this year to not have any issues, and it's going to be more of a obstacle course style. So you're done when you're done. So when you finish first, second, third, that's where you are. We don't have to calculate anything. So you're going to be, and the kids, everybody, are going to be at a station for a certain amount of time and then go to the next station. So, the first part will most likely be a run, and we haven't got all the things in yet, but the next one will be your team. We're going to do teams. So maybe you and Lynn, I don't know.
Yeah.
Be good. But anyway, your team has to complete 200 push-ups before you can go to the next station. So you do 10, she does however you want to do it. And then you run to the next station, and I think we're going to have a jump rope. So you're going to have to do, 500 jump ropes, So it's going to be like that. And so the first one that crosses the line is done. And we're going to have judges at each station. So we've kind of mapped it out the way I've done an event before like that. And it just is going to eliminate people standing around getting hot, food's out, all gone because Jonathan and his kids ate every single bit of it sitting over there. But yeah, it's going to be fun. And I appreciate Jonathan for the plug, and I appreciate him sponsoring once again. Big $500, which we appreciate. Anything else for the crowd there, Jonathan?
That's it, man. No, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
You bet. And thank you, everybody. Thank you for listening to today's program. I ask you to please follow the show wherever you get your podcasts, and please select automatic download because that really helps the show. Now I want to thank Overhead Door of Daytona Beach, the area's premier garage door company. They have the best product. They have the best service. I personally vouch for Jeff and Zach Hawk, the owners. They are great people with a great company. If you have any garage door needs, please give them a shout at 386-222-3165.